Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Fonz Jenkins and I am the district manager for Central Kansas region, and I'm stoked to be talking to you about a topic that is super vital in terms of being successful with this company here. And we just had some of the goods there from Zach. And so I want to talk to you a little bit more about closing big. And so the manual is really good at doing a good job of closing, period, right? So it's not hard in terms of closing, but I want to talk to you about taking it up a notch, right? So taking it up to another level there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about closing big. I'm going to give you a few different fundamentals, right? Some things that you need to have in place before you even think about closing bigger. And then I'll give you a few skills and a few tips. And after that, the most important thing, which if you don't do anything from this entire talk, the most important thing is to take this back, digest it, and implement it right away. So there's a few things that come to mind when I'm thinking about, say, closing big. And before I go into, some of the verbiage and some of the skills and different tools that you can use to close bigger, what I really want to do is I want to go through and make sure that there's a proper foundation set for the expectation of people that want to close bigger. And so there's a couple of things that you need to have in order to be even in that lane, to be on that level. So if you're taking notes right now, just jot these down here. Again, I'll come back and I'll talk a little bit more about them, but there's a few things I want you to go ahead and jot down. So when we're thinking about closing big, the first thing I think about is mindset. Right. So mindset is huge when you're thinking about closing big. The next thing I think about is education. So making sure that you're equipped and armed with the proper education to close bigger. And I'm not talking about general education. I'm talking about more Cutco education. Number three is counter AFTO. So counter AFTO. Number four is transitions. So transitions. Number five is knowing what deals you want to offer. So knowing what deals you want to offer. Number six is urgency. Number seven is dropping down like a boss. That's right, dropping down like a boss. And number eight, always keeping it light and fun, because throughout the whole process of closing bigger, what you're also doing is you're also closing on recommendations for the future. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. But in terms of mindset, right? So you want to close big. If you got a small mindset, it's impossible to close big with a small mindset, right? And so what I mean by having a bigger mindset, what do you think you're going to sell when you go into that appointment? Are you looking at a homemaker? Are you looking at a galley? Are you looking at a five-piece deal? Like realistically, what are you thinking you're going to sell in that appointment? Because if your thinking is that low, you're projecting that actually throughout the appointment. I'll give you an example. If you think, for an example, the ultimate is just way too big, or it's got way too many pieces, or nobody would ever buy that, when you get to your appointment and you're talking about the ultimate, right? What do you think is going to translate over to the customer? Right, those same internal feelings that, hey, this is way too much, this is too big. So you get to, saying things like, yeah, you probably wouldn't even use all those pieces anyway, right off the bat, right? Or Mr. Jones, yeah, I know that thing's super big, right? I would never put that in my kitchen. Just little bitty things like that, subtle little nuances where you actually are closing a person off of the ultimate into a smaller set. So what I mean by thinking big, you gain confidence by thinking bigger, right? Have you ever had a chance to go into the Cutco Orders app and just punch in some insane, crazy, ridiculous order that obviously probably no one would ever get, right? But you never know. So I'll give you an example. I went in and I put in like 100 ultimate sets, right? I mean, 100 ultimate sets, that's a huge CPO day. And it's probably not likely that that's going to happen, but just by, doing that, I expanded my thinking, overall mindset in terms of closing bigger, because now I can see it, right? It's like, oh, okay. the app will take 100 ultimate sets if I put it in there. So expanding your mind also on, what we sell, right? So are you thinking only in terms of knives? Are you like really tunnel vision and only thinking that, hey, when I go into this appointment, I'm only going to be talking about knives, right? We also sell flatware, we sell cookware, we sell hunting knives, we sell kitchen tools, all of which have just come back. So this is the perfect time to start training yourself to start thinking bigger and putting in your mind and painting a picture of more of a Cutco kitchen mindset versus just Cutco knives, right? So the other thing too, in terms of thinking big as well, is are you thinking about, you know, packages? Are you thinking about well beyond the transaction as in front of you right now, right? So whenever I'm with a customer, I'm not thinking just this one transaction. I'm actually thinking uh, 3 to 5 years down the line, right? So if I do pitch the Cutco kitchen, for an example, and they don't get the Cutco kitchen, well, that's okay. They can get one part of the Cutco kitchen, and in my mind, the next 2, 3, 4 years, as I'm marketing to them, as I keep in touch with them, all right, this year, the next year is flatware. Flatware, they make the big purchase. Next year after that is cookware. Next year after that is sets for the kids. Next year after that is sets for anniversaries, gifts, things like that, right? So that's the mindset of a person that is closing big, right? So it's not just closing big in one like particular order, but it's closing big over time, right? As you continue to build your book of business. So that's the first thing is you got to be able to get your mindset right, right? Go into this knowing and being confident and thinking bigger and thinking larger than what you currently are. And one of the ways that you can do that is through simple education, right? So when I say education, I'm talking about Cutco education. So I've done different talks in the past before. I did one for SE2 and I showed everyone how to look for this beautiful, a great document. It's full of just chock full of Cutco facts, right? Just the facts. And if you don't know, or if you're new to Cutco right now and you're just on a job here, ask your manager. Your manager should know where to retrieve that document. But I highly suggest that you take at least just 1 hour out of your day, just 1 hour out of your day or 1 hour out of your week, just to read over that document and just read over those facts. Because what happens is once you start to grasp a lot of the facts, right? And once you start to really know your product in and out, well, now you become an expert. Now you're not just the person that is, the college student that's trying to get credit, trying to, build up and pay off college debt, which those are all noble and those are all honorable, right? But you want to be viewed as the kitchen consultant. You are the helper. You're the shopper, right? So you're helping them shop for the set and the products and ideas that they want in their kitchen, right? Instead of being just the college person that's selling, or just the knife person, the knife girl, or the knife guy, right? And that expertise comes from education. So I highly suggest going through and looking at that document called Cutco Just the Facts. But there's other things you can do to educate yourself too. One of the things I love about this company is I love the fact that if you want to be a really high achieving, high performing rep, all of the tools you need are at your fingertips. There's no like blocks here or there. There's no one like that you have to go through. There's no complication or anything like that. It's right there at your fingertips in your portal in Vector Connect. And if you go to Vector Connect, and if you go to the library and you go to, I think it's not the document library, but the video library or the audio library, there's tons and tons and tons of wonderful talks on there that will talk about different areas that you would like to improve. For an example, if you are really not good at recommendations, I guarantee you there's a really good talk on Vector Connect that talks about getting more recommendations or getting better at recommendations. If you're not great at building rapport, there's a talk on Vector Connect. Just like the saying that there's a YouTube clip for, there's a Vector Connect audio or video for anything that you want to get better at. So educating yourself again. that elevates your mindset because now you know about our flatware. You know everything you need to know about our flatware. You know everything you need to know about our cookware. You know everything you need to know about our hunting knives and our hunting packages and things that we offer and all of the specs and things like that. And it might sound like a lot, but it's actually a lot easier than you think. For an example, we have so many hours in a week, everybody's busy, but think about it this way. If 1 hour in a week, if you just had to take 1 hour in a week to listen to a Vector Connect talk or a Vector or listen to or watch a Vector Connect video or on something that you want to get really good at. For an example, if you want to sell more flatware, you go and you think it's worth your time for 1 hour in a week. 1 hour, if it could yield you 5,000 more CPO in a year, if it can yield you $10,000 more CPO in a year, if it can yield you 20, 25, 30, 40, $50,000 more by just 1 hour a week, would it be worth it? Ask yourself that. Is it worth it for 1 hour a week, whether you're driving in a car, whether you're doing work around the house, whether you're doing calls, whether you're getting ready for a meeting? Is it worth it to take 1 hour out of your week to have the potential to add 5, 10, 15, 20, you name it, 30, 40,000? It's really up to you, CPO to your year. And so with that education comes that confidence, and that confidence comes you're thinking bigger, your mindset, it gets bigger. The third thing is counter AFTO. So we know how to ask for the order, right? Everybody goes and they read the order. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you, would you like to, order Cutco today? Or would you like to get that set today, right? Everybody knows how to ask for the order. But what I'm finding is that people are afraid to counter ask for the order. And what I mean by that is there's one of these TV shows that I love watching. It's called Shark Tank, right? And the people on Shark Tank that get a deal, none of those people get a deal by simply saying, okay, if they get a no, right? So if they get no deal from somebody, nobody gets a deal by doing that. What do? They counter offer, they negotiate, and you yourself have to be the same way when it comes to the customer. And also what that does too, there's a level of expertise, there's a level of confidence that comes off when you're counter offering to the customer that makes them look at you like, okay, you're the expert. He knows it. She knows what she knows what she's talking about. He knows what he's talking about, right? They're working with me, okay? And customers love being able to have somebody that knows what they're doing and they're working with them, right? So when you're doing your counter offering, right? What I mean by that is you have to know, right, what or how to transition into it. Okay, so there's different ways that you can counter offer. The one that I like to use is just by sheer rapport building, right? So when you're building rapport, let's say that you close on a homemaker. Okay, we're just going to use that for an example. So let's say you're closing on a homemaker, and through rapport building, you're talking to Mrs. Jones. You guys are kind of finalizing the order there. You're getting all the credit card information, and through your rapport, right, your rapport, you've learned that Mrs. Jones likes the flatware. You learned that Mrs. Jones likes some of the hunting knives, some of the gadgets there. You've learned all these little bits of tidbits of information. A good closer, right, is taking all that information that they're learning in rapport as they're going through the presentation and filing that away so that they can use it as leverage at the end, right? So you learned all this stuff. Well, one thing that you can do, a simple question in terms of that transition, because a lot of people say, well, Fonz, how do you transition into closing bigger and asking for more, right? It's just simple. It's super simple. After you're building rapport, you're getting the order there. You say, all right, cool, Mrs. Jones. Yeah, awesome. So you're going to love these here. By the way, one of the things that I do, Mrs. Jones, if you don't mind, is as a courtesy, what I like to do is I just show all my clients, a lot of the other stuff that we offer there, just so you kind of know for the future. Also, if we have any discounts on some of this other stuff, not necessarily that you're going to get it now, but just for the future, just so you know about it. Do you mind if I go ahead and just show that to you real quick? Is that cool? Awesome. All right. So now I just got my in. That's all you really want right there, is just to get the in, right? So you've already closed on, say, the homemaker, and you're trying to think about closing big, right? There's two ways you can do it. You can close big on the front end, or you can close bigger on the back end. The one I'm talking about right now is closing bigger on the back end. So what you've done there, that transition is just smooth and seamless, because all you're doing now is you're offering that as a courtesy. Now they're kind of intrigued because they want to see some of the newer stuff, right? That we have, in addition to what they're already purchasing. They're already on the high because now they're getting rid of that old stuff, right? They're getting the new knives. They're excited and everything. So now it's your job to capitalize on that and show them some of the other stuff where you can close bigger too. Now, some people are like, well, I do all that work, and you know, I don't know. Should I even ask for more? I mean, I almost feel like I shouldn't even ask. I almost feel like it's almost greedy. Well, for the people that feel that way, the first thing I'm going to say to you is stop feeling that way. Get out of that way. You know why you're feeling that way? It's because you're not coming from a place of customer service. You're not looking out for the customer. You're looking out for yourself if you feel that way. All right. If you're looking out for the customer, right? If you're looking out for the customer, you're looking for a win-win for you and also for the customer as well. And they win when they get more because they get a bigger discount, or they get more stuff for free, or they get extra value, right? So again, flip your mindset from that mindset and see that, hey, by you offering more with your transition of giving them, the knowledge of these other things that they can get in addition to what they're getting today, right? By you doing that, they appreciate that, and you're using those transitions to counter offer, to ask for the order again. Okay, so again, hey, Mr. Jones, like I said before, as a courtesy, what I do is I go through a lot of the other stuff that we have there, just in case we have discounts on it in the future, and then if there's any other stuff that you might want to get in the future, blah blah blah. Right? Awesome. Do you mind if I do that? It's very important to get information, or get the permission to do that. And then what you do is basically you build up a list, right? So you say, hey, Mr. Jones, based on what you're seeing here, what's next? If you were going to do anything like later on, I just want to keep a running list here. What would you get? And then a good salesperson knows how to coach the customer and lead them into the place, where they're thinking about, but they're afraid to say it. So for an example, Mrs. Jones is a little timid, and I'm saying, yeah, so what if Cutco was free, falling from the sky, right? Handles first, what would you scoop up if you were going to get something next year? Oh, and I noticed that you really like the flatware there. I mean, when I was talking about it earlier, would you get that? Awesome. Let's put that on the list. Anything else? Yeah, you said something about your boys there, that they hunt, right? So maybe that's a good like present, maybe for the future, for a gift or something, birthday, or yep. So maybe some hunting knives. Okay. And then I noticed too that you did like the bigger steak knives, with your set that but you can't get the bigger steak knives in the homemaker. So maybe the bigger steak knives. Awesome, awesome. And so what you're doing there, you're just building up that list for the customer, right? And then what you want to do is you want to know how to offer a deal. So for an example, the deals that you want to know is you want to first off know your bonus points. And if you don't know how to work with your bonus points, I suggest talking to your manager, maybe pulling your manager or your assistant manager aside, and having 15-20 minutes to talk about the bonus points and how customizing with bonus points. Did you know that, for an example, you can pretty much give a cutting board away with any knife purchase, just about, excluding maybe a table knife, or even maybe a paring knife. You can go into the app and you can test out different combinations of what you can do in terms of giving things away for free. That's one way of doing it. Or you could talk to your manager. I suggest talking to your manager, but you always want to know what you're going to do. So for an example, if I was working on a 5-piece set, 5 knives, and I'm writing it up, and I went through that same transition there of telling the customer, hey, here's a couple of other things that I want to show you. Can I show you just for the future? If we could ever have a discount on it, then I want to be able to alert you and let you know so you don't miss out. All right. So you go through that transition there. And then, here's the how you close a little bit bigger. So, hey, Mrs. Jones, you have internet and TV, correct? Internet, TV, and all that good stuff. And you know how a lot of companies, when they do like bundle packages, you get a little bit better discount. Well, Cutco is actually similar in the same way. We do bundle discounts too. I mean, what you're getting already is great. You're getting a great deal on it, but because of what you're getting, you actually unlock a few other discounts when you bundle. Can I just show that to you real quick, just for grins? I mean, you're already getting that. I just show it to you real quick. Is that cool? Awesome. All right. So I noticed that you're getting the 5-piece tray here. Well, normally 6 table knives. A lot of people love the table knife, the little butter steak knife. Normally they cost this. And if you were getting them by yourself, they would go down to this. But because of what you're getting with this, I can actually bring the table knives to this if you want to add those on. How's that sound? Yeah. So when you break that down and you break it up over payments, actually you're just looking at blank much more, just a little bit more. How's that sound? Cool. You want to just throw it on? Awesome. Cool. Or if they don't throw it on, that's fine. No way, no matter. But the fact that you even offered, right? Again, people at Shark Tank, when they're doing their deals, they counter offer, right? So I'm counter offering with this customer, even though I'm added on. And so the fact that I'm even doing that, I'm raising my CPO up, and I'm also closing a little bit bigger. That's just one small example. Now in terms of urgency, right? That's what I just did there. I basically just did a conditional statement. Hey, by the way, Mrs. Jones, you're already doing this. This is what it would cost to do this by itself. But because you're doing this, if you wanted to add this on, I can bring the price of this down to this. That's the conversation, right? Now, in terms of the numbers, it just really depends on what you're working with, right? So again, if we go with the tray set, if I were going to do the deal, 5-piece tray is roughly around $400 or $500. The normally, if you did six of the table knives are going to cost you 276, and normally we would do a deal where they might get one for free. Well, I might actually give them two for free and just add on $190 to the tray set. Boom, I just added more CPO. Yeah, did I give one extra table knife away for free, but was it worth it? Absolutely, because my CPO is a lot higher now than what it was if I didn't make that counter offer right there. So that's the urgency part right there, right? Is, hey, if I do this, because of what I'm doing here, or because of the goals I'm going for, or because Mrs. Jones, I'm in my fast start and I got 3 more days left, or because Mrs. Jones, I got a high goal of doing this by the end of this month. If I did this to bring it to this, would you be open to pulling the trigger on that? Or would you be open to that deal, right? Or how's that sound? Or would you be able to do that for grins? Boom. And then the last thing here, last couple of things is, let's say that you go through all of those steps, right? Even the best salespeople, right? They go through all those steps, and occasionally the customer just, for whatever reason, don't want to go for your deal. Well, then it's time to drop down like a boss. And how do you drop down like a boss? Well, you add in drop downs between the drop downs you already know. So we already know the drop down from the ultimate is the Siggy, then it goes to the homemaker, galley, etc., right? But dropping down like a boss is creating extra steps within that drop down. And in turn, you actually close bigger as a result of adding those extra steps. What do I mean by that? All right. So let's say you got the customer super excited about the ultimate, right? They want the ultimate, but for whatever reason, the price on the ultimate is just too high, or the price, or for whatever reason, it's just too many pieces right now, or whatever objection you get. But they're super excited. They're at an 8 or a 9, right? So if for whatever reason they can't close to that, then naturally you want to go down to the signature set, right? Well, hey, Mrs. Jones, signature set takes out these pieces you probably wouldn't use right away anyway, right? We can always get that later. But then if you're closing like a boss, then it's like, all right, Mrs. Jones, well, I'll tell you what, since you already want to get the ultimate set anyway, we actually have a program where we can get you a set lower inside of the ultimate block, right? We'll get you a set lower inside of the ultimate block, and the price is going to be way cheaper than the ultimate set itself. And then, oh, by the way, you can actually go as you build as you go. We call it our build a set. How's that sound, Mrs. Jones? Can I show that? Can I break down the numbers for you on that real quick? And now you just added an extra step. And if they still can't do that, well, that number that they just saw is higher, right, than the signature set. So now the signature set looks a little bit cheaper than the ultimate set and the ultimate builder, or, the ultimate builder. Guess what? You can do the same thing with the homemaker and the signature set. You can do the same thing with the galley and the homemaker set. So you just added another step, and now you're dropping down like a boss. And when you drop down like a boss, you drop down slowly, you drop down deliberately, you're in control, right? And the way that you're in control is by, again, the mindset, by the education, knowing what to be able to offer, right? By counter offering, by also great transitions, walking the customer through, knowing all those deals that you want to offer, creating conditional statements, right? If I do this, then I'll do this for you. How's that sound, Mrs. Jones? And then drop it down like a boss. And then let's say that for whatever reason, you've done all this great work, you've left everything on the table, and they still, for whatever reason, they can't go for it. I'm of the mindset of you always want to keep everything light when you're closing big, right? So if they wanted to get that homemaker and you've done all this other stuff and you've educated them and you've tried to show them bundle deals and you've showed them different bundle packages and you use different transition, if you've done all that stuff, but they say, no, we're just going to go with that homemaker, right? You always keep it happy, light, and fun. Oh, hey, not a problem, Mrs. Jones. You never know, right? I always got to ask. Hey, and by the way, Mrs. Jones, when you do get in a place where you can actually get some of that extra stuff, I'm still going to get you a great deal no matter what. I'm still going to hook you up. Okay. So for right now, we'll go ahead and get your homemaker. You're going to love this thing. You're going to have to be very careful, right? But we'll look at the other stuff and I'll keep this on file. How's that sound? Awesome. They can't help but feel good about that, right? Because you don't want them to feel bad that they can't get the extra stuff. But now they feel really good about that purchase. You've kept it light. You've taken them through the cycle, right? They made their decision. And then now you have a customer that not only can you add more stuff to, right? So I think about customers in terms of 3 to 5 years, but now they're not afraid of adding their network to you as well. So now you've increased the network of your recommendation. So it's all pulled together because of the way you treated that person, because you came off as the expert, because of the whole cycle you went through. Now that person is a little bit more confident in recommending you to their friends or you to their coworkers or you to whoever, because they know that they're recommending a professional. And that is what you get from closing a little bit bigger through all of those steps there. So I hope that you guys got quite a bit from that there. If you need to go back, I highly suggest that when we get this recording here, you just go through some of the pieces that you missed there, and then go ahead and take anything that you got from this and start to slowly implement it into your presentations right away, right? This whole everything. So implement it right away, and then you'll start to see that it'll have an effect on the results of your bottom line there. So thanks so much. I love being able to share with you guys. If you ever need anything, again, contact your manager. Also, you can reach out to me, and my contact information is with Kyle. And if you guys have any questions. So take care, guys. Enjoy the rest of the conference there, and I will see you guys on the other side. Take care. Bye-bye.